You may have heard of makers and who they are. So makers are people that go out and they just build, right? They build something by themselves. And usually makers are building with code, and a lot of them know how to code, so they go ahead and build out real world applications that you can use, either mobile apps, web apps, desktop apps, and they release them, right? And it's this whole process. But recently, and for the past few months, there's been sort of a shift. So let's just talk a little bit more about that. So the shift that I'm talking about is actually called no code. And what that really means is that you're not using code at all. You're not physically typing out code in your editor. You're essentially using a visual integrated development environment, or an IDE, to drag and drop and move things around and maybe give things values, but you're never writing actual code. And it's a little different. You might have heard of low code. So there's a no code versus low code. And low code is similar, but instead of only having just the visual aspect where you're just dragging and dropping things and you don't really have access to the editor to view or change your source code, with low code, you actually, the majority is done through a visual IDE, but there is certain pieces that you're able to manipulate by editing the source code. So you would have to know a little bit of programming, not too much. That's kind of the two big differences between them. No code is the one that's kind of becoming a bigger wave right now. And it's a really big thing right now in the maker community because it allows you to ship products fairly quickly. You can probably get up a voting app, for example, where you can have people post in their different ideas and have people actually start voting and real time see the different voting scores that are coming in. As the maker community is becoming more involved with no-code tools, it's kind of influencing how many no-code tools we actually have out there. You might have heard of Webflow, which is a way to make a website, or even to a certain extent, a CMS and an app, through literally not writing a single line of code. With the wave of more makers using no-code tools, there has been a lot more happening in the maker community with the availability and the release of more no-code tools, which is insane. It's kind of shocking how quickly they're just being released. And what it'll allow you, somebody like you, to do if you want to release your own app is that you don't necessarily have to rely on learning a new language or tapping somebody to help you to build a project. As long as it's not a thing too crazy, you can probably build it out with a no-code tool for the beginning, to get your initial users on and to start validating your idea, start user testing and iterating and improving. Obviously, once you get like super huge and maybe you're making billions of dollars and you have like a ton of users on your platform, it's usually probably a good time to switch over to a product that's a little bit more robust and more flexible. Those kind of the two main differences, and also a little bit more about what the community itself is doing right now. A lot of people are also worried that it's going to take away development jobs, and it's really not. If you think about it holistically, and Vlad, the CEO of Webflow, actually said this at the front conference that I went to this week, is that the more people that are actually out there and building and producing products, the more likelihood and the increase of jobs in engineering that's actually gonna result from that. If you think about it, if more people are pushing out products and releasing products using no-code tools, that means there's more chances of blossoming companies, blossoming startups that won't be able to sustain themselves using just a no-code tool. They are gonna have to hire probably a full team of engineers to support the architecture of everything. So development jobs, I don't think are going to be affected, but I think it's really a big question out in the community still. If you're interested in using no-code tools, I'm going to leave probably 5 or 6 down below that I use myself and that I know a lot of other people use as well. There's a really great shot that you can just think of an idea like right now and have it shipped out by tomorrow. And just getting it out within the community so that you can start getting some feedback is really important. This is a really quick video just on no-code tools in general. It's really a little bit of an overview and a state of what's happening with no-code tools. And I'll probably be making more videos around the subject as a whole, as I find it really interesting, and I'm also using no-code tools to build products as well. So don't be scared of these tools. I think really try to embrace them, and I think it's a really good sign for people that don't know programming. It makes it just way more accessible to folks that don't have accessibility to learn how to program or just want to get a product out to validate their idea. I think it's a really great alternative to learning a whole language for one product. Hopefully you'll start using some of them. If you do, let me know. And if you have any favorite ones that I didn't mention in the description, make sure to leave them down in the comments. I'd love to learn more about other no-code tools out there.